Hey there. Um, I don't even know how to start a video, to be honest with you, but I wanted to talk about today. Um, I wanted to talk about being a stay-at-home mom. So, what I have in mind is I've been a stay-at-home mom for about 3 years now, and I've been really thinking about being a stay-at-home mom and like how it plays into the family and like the benefits of it and also possible challenges of it. I think it's important to like talk about it. Um, and so I really wanted to just like share my thoughts on it. And while I do that, I'm going to be feeding my sourdough starter. I have this big mama here. Uh, Sourdough starter that's been in the fridge for a couple of weeks now and needs to be fed because I'm going to make some stuff tomorrow with it, hopefully. So, excuse me. So, I wanted to talk about being a stay at home mom, right? So, being a stay at home mom, it's awesome, right? Like, it's great because I can be here for my family, and that's like one of the things that I love about it. Um, and what I mean by that is if something happens, I can be present for my family like all day. Like, for example, my dog, he recently passed away and he had cancer, and I was able to be here with him and feed him like a specific diet and just like be here with him and comfort him like throughout the day because I was home all day long. And so for some context, so let me just give you a little bit of context. I used to work before becoming a stay-at-home mom. I've always had a job. Like I'm 30 in my 30s now, and all of my 20s I've spent working. Like I don't think I ever spent much time without a job. I started working at 18, and then once I had my daughter, which was sometime in 30, 31, I don't remember. I stopped working and I decided to become a stay-at-home mom. And so I've had experience over this time frame of working various jobs between part-time and full-time jobs, with the later years of my work experience being full-time. And so when I was working, it was really hard to be here for my family because I was always occupied with work. And for example, if my dog had cancer during that time frame when I was working, um, it would have been really difficult to do all the things that I was really doing for him because I was making his food from scratch. Like I was making him like a chicken in a slow cooker twice a week. Actually, I was making 2 whole chickens a week for him, but I was also making bone broth for him. And that was something that required a lot of energy, right? Because it's a lot of stuff that I'm doing, prepping. And so if I had been working, I wouldn't have been able to do that for him. Um, so that's one of the things I really love about being a stay-at-home mom is that I can be here for my family. I can be present in case something happens during the day. I can drive somewhere, what have you. And so the other thing I love about being a stay-at-home mom is I love that I'm active in my daughter's life. Like all day long is what I mean to say. Of course, um, oops. I'm not saying that people who are working moms are not active in their kids' life, but a big chunk of their day, of your day, is being outsourced by another caregiver. And so I personally did not like that. That was not part of my family goals. And so I really love that I'm able to be here. Also, another thing that I love about being a stay-at-home mom is that I have time to do the things that I want to do. Like before, when I worked, I would come home like exhausted. Like I would just come home and I'm like, I have no bandwidth for anything else. Like I was a teacher, and so my whole energy was drained in just being at school and doing behavior management all day long. And so I was just exhausted. I would come home and I would just have to turn on the TV and just mindlessly watch this TV because the day was just so rough. And of course, I mean, I was teaching in a a high need school in a neighborhood with children that had a lot of educational needs, a lot. Reading levels were low. I was teaching middle school, so I think that plays into the part. Like, there was a lot of, I don't know, kids that don't know how to read act out a little bit more, and so maybe that plays a part into how exhausted I was. I don't know if other teachers that teach in schools that don't have such a high need, if they feel differently when they come home, but I did. I felt exhausted, and so it would take away from me being able to do the things that I enjoyed. And now I have more time for these things, right? So I love that I don't have to outsource my child's care. I can be home with her, foster his bond with her, make sure that my daughter has, she grows up with like a secure attachment. And just more context. I went to school for family and human development, so I learned a lot about attachment styles in children and how to foster secure attachment style, and like the importance of family, the family role in a child's life growing up, and how that affects into adulthood, how that affects adults, right? How it affects the success rate of adults, the choices that adults make, etc. And so to me, it's really important to give my daughter the best that I can, like the best care that I can give her so that she can grow up and be a successful adult. That's really important to me. Really important. So the challenges of being a stay-at-home mom are, number one, loss of income. As I wanted to like elaborate on that. Loss of income. So before I became a stay-at-home mom, me and my husband were both making an income and we were contributing to the house, and when I stopped working, we lost a good portion of our income, and that was a really big hit, especially for someone who, for people, I would say especially for people who love taking vacations and love having certain luxuries. It can be very, if your husband isn't making like a lot of money, because that's subjective, but it could be a big loss. And then the second challenge would be, what was the second challenge? Running the risk of something, like if something were to happen to the main provider, let me take this off. If something were to happen to the main provider of the family, you know, that's a big risk when all your income is on one person. That's a big risk that you're taking there, because if something were to happen to that person, God forbid, then now you need to step in and you need to find a way to provide too. And if you haven't been working on your career or have any experience or anything of that sort, that could be something that's a downfall, because you'll be coming into the job market with lower skills and less experience and be getting paid possibly less because of that. So that is definitely a big risk. I also want to add here that something that I personally am doing to remedy this is to continuously work on my skills and to just keep on trying to take courses or do work on my portfolio to keep my skills fresh. And also having a business, I think, helps too, because it keeps you learning new skills and or doing freelancing. And so I think that is a way to remedy the problem. Of course, staying home in a sense is a privilege, because if you have a partner, like a spouse that can cover the costs of you staying home, I think that's a privilege. But it's also a big cost, because like I've said, for someone like me, for a couple like me, right, that I made a little bit more than my husband did when I decided to stay home. Now we're really tight. We have a really tight budget. And so in a way it is a privilege, but in a way it's not like it's like we're living lavishly or anything. Like we've made some really big sacrifices for me to be able to stay home and be with my daughter. So it's not just one way. I see a lot of conversation where it's like, it's a privilege that you get to stay home. Yeah, it is a privilege in a sense that I have a spouse that allows me to do that, for sure. But there is a big cost because now we're living very minimally. We're living with the least that we can. We're grateful for the things that we have, but we have to make work with a very small budget because it's just one income. And things are really expensive. Groceries are really expensive right now. So yeah, I don't think it's just one way or another. I don't think it's just privilege. I'm living lavishly, but it is a privilege in the sense that I had that choice, but we're still living tight. You know, we're not upgrading cars. Our house is outdated in a lot of areas. Like the bathrooms are outdated. One bathroom is like half working right now and we're waiting to fix it. So yeah, if I had been working, I probably would have had money to fix all these things, but we've had to make some really big sacrifices. And this is my choice. This is what I chose to do because I decided that for me, what was important was to stay home with my daughter and to give her the best that I could so that she can be a well-adjusted adult. I just wanted to make a video talking about it because I think it should be talked about, like the positives of it, because I think a lot of moms are like always the ones that are on the one side, because there's like two sides, right? There's like the sides of like the people who don't value stay-at-home moms, like don't value it at all, like they just see it below them or something like that. There's that conversation, I could never be a stay-at-home mom, it's so frustrating, whatever. And I can understand that perspective in some ways because it's a job. Like being a stay-at-home mom and being somebody that's home all the time requires a lot of motivation and self-motivation and discipline. You need to be able to make yourself do things because you don't have a structure of a job. A job structures you. Your boss has expectations of you. There's also a job description. There's things that are expected of you. And then you have your performance evaluations, typically. But a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home parent job doesn't really have all those things. You are the one that's coming up with the job description. You're coming up with what does success look like in your role. And so it requires a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-motivation. You have to like be able to have skills to manage yourself. And so it can be challenging, especially for people who haven't really built those skills. And so, and then there's the other side of the equation, the other side of the aisle is what I mean to say, of like people who, some like women who are just like, only stay-at-home mom, you can't work, whatever. I don't know what their perspective is on this, but it's all very extreme to me. I think being a stay-at-home mom is valuable, of course, but I also think, like I said, there's a risk, and I think it's important to factor that in and be wise and make decisions right now.
Make decisions right now that will benefit your family in the future and ensure that you have your bases covered.
Duty calls. My daughter is asking for me, and I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm going to end this video. I hope that it added some sort of perspective or comfort in some way. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, me lo voy a tomar.